Hey guys, welcome back to Critical Flick. Today I'm reviewing The Wonder, now streaming on Netflix. So The Wonder is a psychological period drama that is now streaming on Netflix that stars Florence Pugh as an English nurse who was brought into a small Irish village to observe a child who isn't eating anymore. She's seen almost as a miracle child. She's been living for multiple months without having any food, and she's kind of seen maybe as a saint or a message from heaven or God or something along those lines. And I will say right away that this movie is just a touch pretentious. I do think that it does skirt that line of being very artistic and having very powerful messaging while not getting too far into the weeds of being like a very pretentious art film. Right away in this film, you're understanding the messaging it's trying to get across. It starts off with a narration over a film set. It's telling you the idea of to believe in stories, that stories are important, for you to believe in the story that this film is presenting. The overarching theme in this film is belief, the understanding of faith, and the world can be what you believe it to be, and things aren't always as they seem, but you can just believe and continue to push forward with that kind of faith that you have in yourself. I will say, I know some of the, especially the ending and the beginning of this film, can come off as a little bit pretentious, but I do think it does a great job of moving these messages forward, helping you understand what you're trying to take out of this movie. Because I will say, while it is very well acted, it's very well shot, I like a lot about this film. It is a little slow. I understand how maybe general audiences would go into this kind of feeling like it's a mundane, kind of low, slow burn movie. But I do think the capturing of these intimate moments and these very subtle performances from the actors involved are just exceptional. I think the movie really pulls at your emotions. You're really feeling for these characters. You're really transported to this world of struggle and loss and trauma and just, like I said, belief. I think that Florence Pugh in particular is fantastic in this movie. She seems to be really good in basically anything she does, but in this film, she's playing a character who really has the best intentions but is struggling to do what she thinks is right. And she's also dealing with some trauma of her past. Because in this film she's taxed with watching this child, she starts to grow a connection with her. She suffered a loss in her own life, and she's becoming almost a motherly figure to this child who in many ways is being abandoned by her own family. You see her in her darkest moments where she's looking at the little slippers of her child that she lost, or she's taking opioids to try and transport herself away from her own reality, this idea of belief of your own reality. And there's some great moments with her, just her struggle to get through this emotionally, her connection with the other characters in the film. She's just excellent. This movie also has some really powerful imagery and messages of rebirth through belief. You have, obviously I'm going to go into a little bit of spoilers of this movie. If you don't want any spoilers, I would click off now. But at the end of the film, we have Anna, who is the girl, kind of being reborn in her own way to a new person. Someone who has moved past the trauma of her past, doesn't have that trauma of her past, and created a new life for herself. And I think that was an interesting take on how they took the belief of this child in the negative sense it was being used and turned it into a positive. And I think that was a very interesting story choice and very well executed. And speaking of Anna, Keela Lord Cassidy does a fantastic job as a young actress playing this character, someone who is really, really struggling, a character who believes what they're doing will fix the wrongs of the past, will help their family, will help everyone that they've lost, but they're kind of misguided. They're being pushed in the wrong direction, sacrificing themselves for really nothing. And then seeing that moment, that struggle of releasing this information, letting someone know about the trauma of their past, that was one of the most powerful scenes in the whole film. The cinematography is also really well done in this movie. It is shot almost entirely in just a handful of locations, whether it be the cottage that you kind of are seeing constructed in the beginning of the film, these sweeping landscapes that create this almost isolationist feeling. You feel like you are with these characters in this barren, kind of drab landscape where you're kind of condensed into this little village. You're so isolated from the rest of the world that you feel this idea of pressure and the belief that these people believe in this village. I think the score is also very well executed. It creates a very ethereal and ever-present tension that kind of grows with the film. These kind of choral sounds, this very otherworldly, almost sci-fi like sound, and it really works well with a period piece. I didn't expect it to work so well, but I do think it captures the essence of the movie and builds the atmosphere, builds that tension. So if I were to rate The Wonder, I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. I think that Florence Pugh gave one of the best performances of the year so far, and even all the supporting cast. I think everyone did a good job. The costuming, the production, the cinematography, the score, everything about it came together really well to create this little cohesive story about belief and about faith. And I do think when it first started, I was a little worried. I saw this kind of shot of a film studio and you believe in the story, believe in this. But then as the movie moves along, I really connected with the characters. I really understood what this film was going for. And I think in a subtle, slow burn way, it really accomplished what it needed to do. So if you checked out The Wonder, let me know what you thought about it. I'm always interested to hear other people's opinions, especially if you didn't enjoy this movie. I'd love to hear your opinions on what you didn't like about it. If you liked it as much as me, feel free to leave those comments down below. Remember to like and subscribe, and see you guys next time.